But my question is more about you in the Middle East and what are some of the actual things that you saw? Are there any things that you can point out that you actually saw there that really demonstrate how bad the actors are in Hezbollah and some of the other nations that call to attack Israel?
Yeah, I was an unarmed peacekeeper, but I'm eyes wide open to some of the threat forces. Hezbollah in the north are not only posing an existential threat to Israel, but they're posing an existential threat to the fabric of Lebanon. You know, Lebanon could be the Paris of the Middle East. It's an amazing country, beautiful natural resources. It's comprising Sunni Muslims, Shia Muslims, Druze, Christians. It's heartbreaking what we've seen in the last 40 years, so since the civil war in Lebanon. Hezbollah is holding that amazing country to ransom, very similar to the Muslim Brotherhood, Gaza, Palestinian Islamic Jihad. There's a lot of similarities to what we saw in Al-Qaeda and Islamic State, or further over into Afghanistan, where you're looking at the Taliban and the Haqqani network. And so violent Islamic militant fundamentalists, jihadists for simple, pose a threat not only to your family and yourself, but to me and mine. And as a soldier, I'm eyes wide open to the consequences and the second order effects of people like me staying silent. I'm acting with my conscience. I'm speaking out against anti-Semitism, not from a political perspective, because for 3 decades I've been strictly apolitical, but politically informed. Combating anti-Semitism is just the right thing to do, and I'm determined to do everything in my power to move the needle on a very worrying trend.
When you were serving in Afghanistan or some of the other locations in the Middle East, were there instances that you witnessed the similar kind of atrocities that occurred on October 7th when it comes to the veracity, enjoyment, and intensity of those attacks?
I actually can't think of any examples that, you know, in modern history where we've seen people delighting and rejoicing in raping and torturing and murdering other human beings. We've got a huge problem on our hands where the Gazan population, in my view, have been radicalised to an extent that we actually haven't seen before in human history. You know, one of the factors at play here, and it's worthwhile talking about it, we're in, I think, the 14th bloody century of militant Islam. And I'm actually struggling to imagine how one of the 3 monotheistic religions, a beautiful religion in so many ways that have given, enabled Rumi and so many of the other, you know, beautiful philosophers throughout Islamic history. I'm struggling to recognise where a Martin Luther type figure may come from and where we may see a reformation. You know, maybe it's someone like Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman, and maybe there are some of the example that we're seeing in the United Arab Emirates, where, for example, Muslim Brotherhood is outlawed, and there's a ministry of tolerance and zero tolerance to anti-Semitic behaviour that may point to a
way in which you can sort of deliver that.
Yeah, a step in the right direction. But coming back into the level of radicalism in Gaza, I think if we look at the Huns, the Vandals, the Tatars, some of the most well-known barbarians throughout human history, that pales in comparison to what we've seen from Hamas and Palestinian.
Meaning your Genghis Khans and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Right. From when you say pales in that comparison is obviously we know about many of those atrocities, but through studying history and through studying war, you're saying that there hasn't been the enjoyment in doing those actions, raping specifically for the rape and the murder specifically for the murder. It's more of those people. It's more that they just did it because it was war or something like that.